everybody, it's Gypsy, and welcome to On the Edge of Appalachia. So, today I don't know that I'm going to have time to, do any gardening videos, and the reason is I have two classes today. You guys know I like to, take classes at our library system and our parks system because, we have just, our library and our parks are amazing, and they offer some good activities, so I like to do those every once in a while, and today it just ends up I have two. So I'm on my way to one this morning. It is for how to use the laser engraving machine at this one library. And this evening I have a class at another one of our libraries, the one closest to where I live. We're going to make candy corn decorations using scrap wood. So I'm really looking forward to that. Let me fix this. I was just noticing my screen looks a little... There we go, that's better. Anyways, so that's what I'm doing. So anyways, I thought I would just talk about a topic that kind of, I don't know, I've been thinking about. I have told you in the past that people always will assume what I think about something or what I believe about something based on one or two little things they might know about me, or something I may have said. Okay? Now, this doesn't just happen to me. I think it happens to all of us. And I really think we need to stop doing that, because people are much more complex than that. Now, I know we try to, the box thing again, the labels. We stick ourselves in a box, and we try to stay within that box, which I don't think we're doing ourselves any favors, because we are much too complex to do that. So, for instance, I've told you guys in the past that most people believe I am liberal because of my spiritual beliefs. I guess my spiritual beliefs make people think that, well, I'm just automatically liberal on everything. I am not really liberal. On a few things I am. I think most of my, I'm going to say opinions, are more conservative. But I don't really label myself either one. And it all depends on what the issue is, what the topic is, okay? So people are making a mistake. They'll believe I'm liberal and come and start talking to me as if I agree with what they're saying. And if I can get a word in edgeways, I will correct them. I will say, well, on this issue I agree with you, on the other one I don't, whatever. Anyways, this past weekend I had something come up. It was funny. This customer had come into my booth, and we started talking about grandchildren. She has grandchildren already, and I don't. And so we were talking about that, and I said, my son and daughter-in-law want to wait until, certain things are aligned in their lives before they have children. And I said, but they're working on it. I said, I think my daughter-in-law may have given me a hint last week. And I said, she's an immigrant, and she told me she was filling out the paperwork right now to get her citizenship. Well, this customer looks at me and goes, oh yeah, she better, with the way things are going in this country. And I'm like, wait. That's not what I meant. And she goes, what? And I said, well, first of all, before I go on, I want you to know that I am the granddaughter of an immigrant, and I am the mother-in-law of an immigrant. Okay? So, I told her, there is a difference between, and I know people are going to get angry at me for using this term, but we need, it is what it is, okay? There's a difference between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant. Now, you hear people say, I have to pay attention to the road I need to turn down next. I always pass it up. People say, oh, people aren't illegal. Well, when you're talking about people who say, God, making a mistake, or, needing an abortion because, well, I guess in my day it was more having a baby out of wedlock. Well, no, that baby's not a mistake. That baby's not illegal. That's what we're talking about. If you go into a country with the way this planet is set up now, against their laws, well, then you're illegal. You just broke the law. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about here. Okay? No, nobody is ever a mistake. Anyways, I told her, I said, my grandmother told me her story and what she had to go through to get here. I said, as for my daughter-in-law, she cannot have a baby until she has health care. I said, because she is a legal, not illegal, but a legal immigrant. And the woman looked at me confused, and she goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, she has all her stuff in order. She came in here legally. She goes, do you mean she has a green card and stuff? I said, exactly. I said, until she becomes a citizen, she keeps it up to date. I said, so she did, she's here legally and stuff like that. I said, and she told me last week she was working on her citizenship. I said, because what you might not know is that always, even when this stuff was going on, when Biden was in office, about illegals getting, free stuff, and I do what's true and what's not. You have to consider that, and it's just too hard to tell. But if that is true, and I do have a feeling it probably is, they were getting all this free stuff, including healthcare. Well, what you don't know about people who have their papers, have their green cards, is, what road is, here's my road. For 12 years, they cannot receive any benefits. And this includes healthcare, unless they get their citizenship or they go back to their country of origin. So, my daughter-in-law, if, they have a baby now, it's going to be really expensive because she doesn't have health care. And that's what I explained to this woman. And she looked at me very shocked, like she didn't know this. So this is what worries me. Okay? I don't know if I didn't have people in my life who were immigrants. Would I know this? Would I have this knowledge? I don't know. But I guess I was shocked. She didn't, when she asked me about the green cards, and she seemed surprised about it, I was like, I don't know why she was surprised. It was an interesting conversation. But, it's like she assumed, because I mentioned my daughter was working on her citizenship, that I was pro coming here against the law. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I am totally against illegal immigrants who break our laws, who terrorize women and children, even men, who go around murdering, pillaging, raping, stealing, arson, all that stuff. I'm totally against that. Okay? So I do believe that people need to be vetted before they come into this country, especially to stay. So if my sweet little Sicilian grandmother came here at the age of 13 They needed to be vetted, and I think they were held at Ellis Island for a couple weeks for quarantine. So if my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, and my great-grandparents had to be vetted, well, why shouldn't everybody? And don't say it has to do with my heritage. Okay? My daughter-in-law, she came in here legally. She moved here because my son fell in love. And she did it legally. And my son, yes, is a patriot. So is my daughter-in-law now. Amazing. I mean, she loves America just like my grandmother did. You have to prove that you want to be here, that you love this country. And I'll tell you one thing, what I won't ever put up with are my American brothers and sisters, whether they are born here or are legal immigrants working on their citizenship, or refugees. I will not put up with them coming here and being hurt. I will not. If you are an illegal, I'm sorry, I can't support you. Not after what my family went through to get here. Not after what my daughter-in-law is going through. You have to prove you love this country and you want to be here for the right reasons. Now, I may be sounding harsh. I am. Sometimes it's like, most of the time, I try to be nice. But on something like this, I'm going to be harsh. I sat there as a teenager, asked my grandmother what it was like to come here and get her citizenship and everything. I took the time to listen to her story and what she and the rest of our family went through to be here. I was impressed. My grandmother told me a couple things interesting. Immigrants who have gotten their citizenship know more about American history and how the government works than someone who was born here. And I thought, wow. She goes, yeah, because you really have to learn it for that test. That test's not easy. And she said, now my family is from Agappo di Militello, Messina, Sicily, if I said that right. My great-grandparents moved to Chile, and I think my grandmother and her two sisters were born there. My great-uncles were born in Sicily. So, short stay in Chile, where my grandmother was born. And then they moved to the United States and my grandmother became a citizen. I cannot speak for the rest of my family. She told me I will always, always love the country I was born in, which is Chile. But America, the United States, is my country. And I love my country. And I am loyal to my country, the United States. That is the way it should be. I watched my daughter-in-law come here barely knowing English. She barely said a word because she was having trouble with communication. She learned English. Now, they do learn it in school, but she was hard to understand because of her accent and everything. I think they learn it in school. She learned English so fast. She barely has you really have to listen to catch her accent. She is so American now. You wouldn't believe she's from another country. She is such a patriot. And I'm proud of her. I am so proud of her. You need to prove you want to be here and that you love America. And when you love America, you have to, love Americans. No matter what color they are, no matter what their background, no matter what their religion. Okay? My mom, when I was a little girl, proudly told me that the United States of America is a melting pot. She may have told me this the day I was called a WAP. And I had to come home and ask my mother, what is a WAP? And she says that stands for without papers, which is what they used to call Italians back then. And I said, what? She goes, don't worry. Our family is here legally. Everyone came in legally. We're fine. And that's when she told me about America being a melting pot. And it is something we should be proud of, but they're trying to ruin that through division. And there are other things that they're up to with this. But if you want to come to America and you want to live here, you have to do it the right way. So that is the reason my daughter-in-law told me, I am filling out the paperwork. I'm getting my stuff and I'm filling out the paperwork to start my citizenship. One, she knew it would make me very proud. Secondly, she may have been giving me a hint that this is a step towards me becoming a grandmother, because she does need health care before then. Because no, someone who comes here legally, has a green card, must wait 12 years before getting any benefits. And they are, my son and daughter-in-law, truck drivers, and they contractors, you know, so they don't get those benefits that you would when you're not a contractor. So anyways, I arrived at the library. I am going to go into my class and have a fun day. So we'll see if I get back to, I don't know what my day is going to entail. So I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful one.